Hey, what's up? Do you have a side hustle and you're struggling to get it off the ground? Do you feel like you just work all the time and you can't never figure out why you got to struggle? Do you work in a job you hate and you just want to get out? Hey, what's up? My name's Matt Dickey. This is my wife Rhonda, and for 10 years we struggled. Struggled to get a business going that was just a whole lot of disappointment. And after 10 years of struggling and fighting, May of 2023, I was able to walk into the best paying job I'd ever had in my life and quit. And we never looked back. And I'm not saying we're like having huge success, but we definitely are a lot freer now than we were in the past. And we just kind of want to share some of our story with you. I'm going to give you a real quick 10-minute version of the last 10 years of our life, and then we'll go into some questions for each other. So, in a nutshell, in 2013, I had lost my job. I was a truck driver. I was struggling, and I ended up taking a job for $10 an hour, basically as a farmhand and a handyman for a lady that had some rental properties. And it was, it worked out. I was able to do work. She had a lot of grass to mow. So I mowed a lot of grass for her, and then ended up in the wintertime crawling under like all these trailers. It was freezing, pipes were busting, and it was really rough, to be honest with you. But I'm not going to get into all that whole story. But in a nutshell, winter come around, the grass quit growing, and I needed to figure out a way to make money. So I started a firewood business, and anybody that's followed me for a little bit, you've probably seen the earlier versions on our YouTube video of the firewood business. But it was a whole nother mess in itself. But the goal of our channel and of our videos is basically we want to be able to just share our stories, victories and failures. And there's a lot of failures, and maybe help motivate somebody or help maybe teach them through some of the lessons that we had to learn the hard way, and possibly make it possible for somebody else to go out there and chase their dreams and make their dreams come true. So with that, this is one of our newer videos for the Lawncare channel, because the firewood business is no more. We've gotten out of that business. I don't want to get too much into that in the first video, but we're going to ask some questions to each other just because we want to share some of the struggles we went through, and hopefully maybe you guys can get something of value out of it. So with that being said, I got a question for Rhonda, and the question is, what was it like having to watch me fail and struggle for 10 years chasing something that most of the time didn't look like it was ever going to happen?
That was rough. That was rough because I promised to always be there for you and stand there by you, be your biggest cheerleader. And that's what I felt like my job was to do, was cheer you on, not give up and tell you you were failing. So, to me, you were just trying until you weren't trying anymore.
Yeah.
And it was really hard. There was a lot of days I did feel like there was a lot of fails. But there was a lot of times where I wanted you out of there so bad that I would have just done about anything, you know. It was scary, kind of job. It was, there's just so many reasons.
Yeah. Okay, well, there's a question for you.
So, when was your aha moment?
So, I don't know. I think there was several aha moments. So the first one was we had started to see a little bit of money coming in from the firewood business, not a ton, but we were in a situation where we had some money to go on a vacation, and we had an extra boat we had bought in the Bass Tracker. We had that old John boat, And I was always kind of a wheeler and dealer, so while we were on vacation, I orchestrated a deal to trade this old John boat that I had paid like $500 for this guy that was basically getting out of the lawn care business. He had two like tractor style riding lawnmowers and a trailer, and he wanted to trade for this $500 John boat we had. And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't really need two riding lawnmowers, but the trailer would be nice, you know. So long story short, the deal happened, and then the mower sat there on that trailer all winter long while I was splitting wood, and I just kept thinking, man, this guy. At first, I was kind of like, man, this guy had a better idea than I did. He sold something he hated. He hated having to mow this grass and keep up with this. Obviously, his business wasn't doing so good, and he was just sick of it. So he's like, I'm getting out of it, and I'm buying a boat. And it just worked out for him. It was a win-win for him, you know. He got away from something he wasn't liking, and he started getting to go fishing with his kids. So that was cool. But I'm looking at them mowers sitting on that trailer all winter, and I'm like, it's so obvious when you're somebody on the outside of another business looking into somebody else's business. Like I could look at him, like I can see why he hated it. He had these old, inefficient, rundown lawnmowers that were junk, really, but. And this guy must have spent a ton of time mowing grass. So with two mowers, it means he had two people running. He wasn't making it. There was no way he was making any money, you know. And here I'm kind of doing the same thing in our business, but I didn't see it at the time. But I'm buying equipment, and I'm pretty much spending everything we're making. It's going right back in the business, and we're just getting deeper and deeper in debt. But I'm looking at these mowers, and I'm thinking, dude, lawnmowers don't cost that much, you know. Like maybe I could get me a zero turn and knock out a few yards to mow next summer. I already got the trailer, so I was like, I could do that. I know I can make enough money during the summer mowing a handful of yards. I just did the math. If I mow a handful of yards, I could easily make that mower payment and pay that mower off in the summer. So I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to start a lawn care business. And that way, when the wood sales are slow in the summer, I can be mowing grass and making. But at the same time, I'm still working 12 hours a day, 7 on, 7 off at the coal mine. But I just had this, hey, there's another way to make money. So that was the first aha moment. The second aha moment was after like 3 months in, I paid the mower off. My lawn care business was virtually debt free. And I'm just pocketing money, you know. And I'm like, dude, next year I'm going bigger and stronger, you know. So that was my first two aha moments, basically. So
I got another question. It kind of goes with that. It's when did you know it was time to quit? When did you know?
So I had been working on it. Like after the first season, I was like, my second season is going to be lit because, like, so my job at the coal mine, I don't want to give too much detail because I don't want to get people in trouble. But it was a very easy job most of the time. If everything was going right, you literally were just sitting around waiting for something to go wrong, which led to a lot of time just sitting around on your phone. The hardest part of the job, quite honestly, most of the time was keeping your phone battery charged. So with all that extra time I had, I spent the winter just diving into every bit of information out there for the lawn care business. Because I was like, come spring, I'm going to be hitting the ground running. I'm going to have my marketing straight. I'm going to have my pitch down. I'm going to be hitting up businesses, trying to get some commercial. So all winter long after that first season, I was like getting the ball rolling. You know what I mean? Like I was learning. I was on YouTube. There's some great information out there. There's some awesome guys on YouTube. If you're in the lawn care industry, check out Keith Kelfis, Brian Fullerton, Florida Turf Pro. I mean, there's some awesome guys that are just a wealth of knowledge. And anyway, I don't want to get into lawn care too much, but I spent my free time, like basically going to YouTube University. I mean, I was consuming as much information on how to market and how to build this thing, and then just basically trying to figure out who my customer is, because not everybody can be a customer. So I learned a lot. So let's fast forward, like, when did I get hurt? Was that it was like January, wasn't it?
something like that.
I had an accident somewhere in the winter. I want to say January, maybe February, somewhere in there, of 23, and I got hurt. Like I could have been killed, but and I can't give too much details, but the way the whole thing, the company, the way it was handled it was pretty apparent by the end of it. Their only concern was save some money on their insurance policy and don't get the government out there doing an investigation. I knew they didn't really care about me. All they cared about was what was best for them, and it just ate at me. And then, so I sat on that all winter long, just that was marinating in my brain. Like, I could have been killed. I could have, like, the first question I was asked was, hey, are you coming back to work tomorrow? We don't want a lost time accident. And I hadn't even been cleared by a doctor yet. So I was basically, in a nutshell, told to play ball or lose my job. So I did what I had to do. I played ball because it's wintertime, and I mean, I was making wood money, but I hadn't got the summertime figured out yet. I wanted to double my business, so I really doubled down, man. I started getting online, and like I was going to like local businesses, nursing homes, and everywhere I could, sending them messages on Facebook, or any way I could communicate with them. Like, say, hey, if you need somebody to mow your grass this summer, I'm interested in putting an estimate in for you. I mean, I was hitting it hard, and come like, what was it, March? I had a lot of business lined up. I had picked up a cemetery, a couple good commercial accounts. I had so much work. I had a guy working for me because we worked 7 on, 7 off, those 12 hours a day. So it was never the same 7 days. It was always weird. Like, I had to work 7 days and then of 12 hours a day, and then I'd get off work, and then for the next 7 days I'm mowing grass. And some people were weekly customers, so some people I had to mow like before I went and after I went to work for 12 hours. It was crazy, I mean, it was getting it going, but I had to do what I had to do that first month just to get the customer base lined up. And then it was like, I know it was like April. Yeah, it was April. My job was pretty easy, but man, there was one thing that I just hated to do because it was just unbelievably boring. But I had to go out like every now and then, like if the power plant was taking more coal, then we could provide, like one bulldozer operator could provide them. I'd have to go out on the second dozer and help. And I didn't mind. It wasn't the helping that minded. It was just for 12 hours. You push forward, push coal in a hole, and you back up and you sit there for a minute or two. And then you push again, and it's just mind-numbingly boring. And then you'll fall asleep or whatever because it's just so boring. And then the board operator's on the radio hollering at you, and it makes you look like you're not doing your job. And you're not, because you're looking at YouTube videos. I mean, no, I wasn't. But anyway, so for whatever reason, I was so ticked off I had to do that night. And, my boss, he really didn't do anything wrong with asking me to do my job. But I knew. I was like, man, I'm losing money by coming to work. Like, I can't take on no more customers because I only get so many days off. And it was just like, I knew it was, at the point, it was hindering my business. And it was just like, I remember being out there on the dozer and I called you. You remember? And I'm like, I'm ready.
After you got hurt.
Yeah, well.
After you came back.
Yeah, after I come back. Well, I never left, but I went on light duty for a short time. But no, like I was out there pushing that coal and just mad and like I was fed up with it because I knew I was losing money going to work.
That was in May.
That was in April because I put in my notice at the end of April. And I quit in May. But I remember I called you and I was all, I said, I'm done, I'm ready, we got the money, the accounts are there, we're doing it. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so that's when I knew it was time to quit. That's that night on that dozer when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at, I got this and I got people calling me and I'm out there with a phone in my ear. Man, I could have been fired. Man, MSHA would have had those. Woo! I'm out there pushing coal. I got him like I got to the point I had him on the radio, like through Bluetooth. I'm pushing coal and people are like, what's going on over there? I'm like, oh, my guys are running the mowers. I'm on a bulldozer. pushing coal, acting like I'm mowing grass, taking on new customers. I'm like, how am I gonna mow their grass when I get off work tonight at 6? I've been here for 12 hours. It was crazy. It was like I didn't have time for the job no more. It just didn't, financially and time wise, it just didn't make sense anymore. And I was like running 24 hours a day, almost 365 days a year. Like I slept and I worked. And it was like, I remember calling, I said, it's time, I'm ready, let's do it. Yeah, that's when I knew it was time. When I couldn't, I reached capacity. So anyway, I got a question for you.
Oh boy.
So, I was at the mine working 7 on, 7 off, 12 hours a day, and then doing firewood on my other days off. This was before I come to you with the idea like, oh, I'm going to start the lawn care business, right? So here I am cutting firewood for 7 days, 12 plus hours a day, and then coal mining 12 hours a day on my other 7 days. And basically you see me like an hour before I fell asleep every night. Like I came home, I ate, I passed out on the couch. What went through your mind when I said, hey babe, I'm going to start a lawn care business?
I thought you were nuts. I really did. Because I believe my words were, where do you think you're going to find the time?
Yeah.
There's only, and I also said, there's only so much of you. You can only stretch so far.
Yeah.
So, it scared me to think that you would take on another business at that time. But you did, and you have, and I think you've done an amazing job with it. So,
thank you.
What did I feel about it at the time? I really did. I thought you had lost your marbles.
I think I did. Like, I just knew like I had to do something. Like the firewood wasn't making it happen completely.
I knew it was time to get out of where you were at. I knew that it was time for that. I wasn't as sure as you were that it was time to make the leap. And so it was a big leap of faith for me too.
Yeah. For sure. Well, you got one more question on there.
Yeah. You like you said, you spent most of your time working and sleeping, so I rarely had time with you. Maybe an hour or two a day. And I took what I could get, but I felt like you were married to the business. We talked about that one time before. And how did you feel? I mean, here I was at home feeling this way because I rarely saw you had that time. And I know you were out working hard doing your job, You didn't have a choice either. So... and I was working too.
You've been a trooper. You've had my back through most of this. Everybody says, oh man, Matt, you did so good for yourself. Look, first of all...
I had your back through all of it.
There was a lot of years you paid the bills. And I paid tractor payments and truck payments, and yeah, that's what I paid. I paid for debt that was from a job that created more debt. It was crazy. But how did I feel working all those hours and not getting to see you? Yeah, it took its toll on me for sure. I think what it come to me, what kind of, if you're, there's some, y'all know who you are. If you're an entrepreneur, if you got that spirit in you, you're never going to be happy making somebody else's dreams come true. You're just not. So there's a part of me that's always like chasing this dream, but there's a bigger part of me that's more worried about having all your eggs in one basket, and that was, people say, oh man, being self-employed, that's pretty risky. Well, it depends on how you look at it, because I've worked jobs where they come in and laid everybody off, and they don't give you no notice. It just happens.
Right.
Or they don't like you. You end up with a boss that just doesn't like you, and you lose your job. I mean, having all your eggs in one basket for me, and I'm not saying you're wrong if you got a job and you love it. Look, God bless. If that's where you find your happiness, good, because that's really, we got to find our happiness. To live, a life glorious to God, we got to find peace in our hearts and our minds. And if that's where you find peace, God bless. But for somebody that is an entrepreneur, they see opportunities where they can be helpful to other people, and I look at it personally like, hey, look, no, I don't have a job. I have what, 50, 60 jobs. Like, I got a list of customers that are good clients of mine that I take care of every week. It wasn't the same in the firewood business, but feeling like you're married to that job, man, that was tough, because it seemed like there was just never enough money with the firewood business to make it at least look like we were getting somewhere. It was a whole lot of years of spinning my wheels, and I knew a lot of it. Like, when you get on the other side of it and you look back, you kind of like, okay, I had to go through those years. I had to learn these things. I had to struggle, because if it had just happened, I wouldn't have known how to handle it. So yeah, it was a lot like I was married to the job. And man, there were so many times we'd have fights because we're trying to just take the last 2 hours of the day we got together, and my phone would ding, and I had to go step out and take this call from a customer that ain't happy about their firewood got stacked sideways, or who knows what. I mean, it was ridiculous sometimes. Or people just think it'd be okay to message you at like 10:30 at night, or call you and mad because you can't drop what you're doing and bring them a load of firewood tomorrow. Like, and I'm not here to complain about the customers, but these were the things that would take place in your personal life, And you're right, it was a lot like I was married to the job, and you were kind of the end of the day thought, and I hated that you had to go through that. I think I knew that in order for me and for us to feel secure, though, I couldn't have all my eggs resting on a job that may or may not fire me one day. Or I've been fired, and I'm a terrible employee. I really am. I'm a better businessman, I think. But I think I'm a terrible employee. So I don't have good job security like that.
I know you didn't just call me a thought.
I didn't.
Okay.
So.
Just making it clear.
Well, anyway, that's just a little window into our lives, and there's definitely going to be more videos to come. I really wanted to put Rhonda in a video because it seems like anytime I put her in one of my shorts, they get all the views, so I'm going to give y'all what you want. She really is the backbone of the whole operation, to be honest with you. She really is. You have been the support through all this, and I'm not saying we're over here rolling in money, but it feels good to just feel like, hey, I get to have a little bit of the life we want to have,
Feel like you can breathe a little?
I can breathe a little bit. Hey, we still owe people money. My credit is still questionable. Actually, it was great for a while, and now it's questionable. But, it's not like we're having huge success, but we're having a comfortable life in the sense of I'm not stressed out about all this crap the jobs put me through. I'm a little more stressed out about some people put me through, but the beautiful thing about working for yourself is if you just don't jive with certain clients, you recommend somebody else for them and you move on. You don't have to stay working for that boss that y'all can't stand each other. Not saying that my last boss was like that at all, but sometimes their hands are tied. So, but anyway, y'all, thanks for watching, and we're going to do more like this. We're going to try to get together once a week, me and Rhonda, and put some content out there for you. And if you got any questions, man, drop them in the comments. Thanks for sticking along this far if you made it to the end of the video. And you guys have a great day. God bless. You want to say anything?
Nope. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.